Okay, right. So let's continue. So we finished the first part. We then now needed to go on to the second part of question 1.3. So it says, using the dividend growth model, calculate the cost of equity. First and foremost, what's the formula for the dividend growth model? Somebody help me. What's the formula for the dividend growth model? D1, oops, I don't know why I put an I there. You said D1 over K being RE, right? Or your return, right? And then you said plus the growth rate or equals to the growth rate? Minus the growth rate.
It's all.
I could feel something was wrong after I had written it. Okay. And this is equals to, am I right? So that's the dividend growth model. All right. Because usually we're using the dividend growth model to calculate the value of a share. But in this case, are we calculating the value of the share? What do they want us to do? To calculate the cost of equity. All right, so I replaced the K there with RE, okay? But that's what we want. We want the interest rate, which is going to then obviously give us the cost of equity. So now what must happen? We have to manipulate the formula, okay? And now if you go back to your, yes, you want to ask? Go ahead. This one specifically, I don't think so, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't actually know how to do this one on a calculator, because remember we're looking for RE and we have a growth rate. Can you see? If we're looking for the interest, but we also have an interest rate that must be incorporated. Can you see? So I'm not too sure you can actually do it on a financial, but I won't say it's impossible.
On a scientific calculator.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, scientific. Yes. Oh, sorry, I thought you said financial. My bad. Yes. You're looking for RE. So I'm going back to your slides to show you that this thing is there. So they've already manipulated it there. Can you see RE is equals to D1 divided by P0 plus G. No, in the other formula, that's the original formula. Because remember, we use the dividend growth model to calculate the value of a share. So let me quickly, we said, space is not on my side here. Let's do this. So we want this formula. RE is equals to what? What did we say? We said D1 divided by S divided by P0. And this time we said plus G, right? I believe that should be in brackets. So let's work it out. What is our cost of equity? What is the interest rate that we are paying for the equity capital financing? So D1, okay, in this case is the expected dividend. They told us the expected dividend in 2010 is what? 16, okay, so we don't need to calculate it. We've been given that value. So 16, then divided by the price. the current price of the share is, did they give it to us? Yes, 1203, 1203. Okay, and did they give us the growth rate? No, they did not, but you guys calculated it, didn't you? So I'm just going to put this in decimal form. You said 6.3, right? 6.7. Oh, yes, 6.7. 6.7 is right. So what is our cost of capital? What is our interest rate? 16 divided by 1,203 gives you what? Yes, it should be. Is everybody getting the same? So this is what you'll get as a decimal, guys. Please leave it as a percentage. Make your marker's life easy. That's your final answer. Okay, everybody happy with that? Okay. Right. So the final thing that they want us to then calculate there in 1.7, sorry, question 1.3 is the cost of a new share issue. Remember we said we can finance equity through preference shares, okay, because they fall under preference shares. Sorry, they fall under equity. We can finance through a new share issue, or obviously you've got your ordinary shares, okay, which is what we've just done now. Okay, so let's see. What's the formula? And I'm intentionally scrolling up to try and hopefully have something click that I mentioned yesterday. The formula for calculating the cost of equity on new share issue. It's quite similar to this, but only one thing changes. Let's see. It's the P0 that changes to NE. That's the only thing that changes. Okay. And what is that NE? So I'm actually just going to copy this. Am I really going to copy it? No. Let me use a different color for that one. To brown. So we're saying RE is equals to D1 expected dividend divided by NE. What does NE stand for? Net what? Net what? You have it. You have it. You have it. Net proceeds from the issue of new shares. Okay. So I'm reading off of page 18 at the bottom. NE is the net proceeds from the issue of new shares, and then in brackets it says gross proceeds less flotation costs and any other discounts on issue. Okay. D1 is the expected dividend to be paid out in the next period. Okay. So that is also your net proceeds. Okay. From the new issue of these shares. Okay. So fortunately for us, remember they gave us the net proceeds, which was the 1,150 we spoke about earlier. So 1,150 dividing what? What is it dividing? The expected dividend, which we know is 16 plus G, which we know is 10. Well, let me be consistent, 0.67. And what do you get, ladies and gentlemen? What do we get? What is the interest? 12.06. That's your final answer. Have you noticed something interesting? The cost of your new issue, yes, increased by 0.6%. Okay. Anybody wondering why? Why is the cost of your new share issue more expensive than that of ordinary? And this one, you must Google it because I don't know how best to articulate it. Google it, ChatGPT, please. This is just good for your knowledge as financial professionals. Hands up those who are doing financial management. I want to see who's doing, and then, okay, those doing finance and accounting. Okay, so it's pretty 50-50. Okay. All right. Interesting.
What was the question again?
Why, yes, why is your cost of new share issue, cost of capital on, let me say it like this. Why is the cost of capital on your new share issue higher than the cost of capital on your ordinary shares? They say flotation costs. Ah, okay, those are all points that you guys can mention if ever they asked it in. I didn't expect the flotation, but it makes sense because if you look at the denominator here, it gets reduced when you minus off the flotation costs and underwriting fees and stuff. Okay, so if you have a smaller denominator, can you see how that's obviously going to give you a bigger interest rate? All right, so I'm just talking to the maths of that in terms of the flow. Then there was the other thing that you mentioned. Okay, market perception and risk. Okay, the one that I was expecting was the dilution of ownership. So if we're issuing more shares, let's say it was only this side of the classroom that had ownership in the business. So they're ordinary shareholders. Now we are issuing more shares. What does that mean for us as a business? It means that we now have to share our profits. Does that make sense? So what's going to make it attractive for us to stay in this? Or to get a higher return. Does that make sense? And also, you mentioned something interesting, perception in the marketplace. If we are seeking more capital, we're basically saying we need more funding. If a business says they need more funding, it's easy for us to perceive they're not managing to generate enough income by means of their usual business activities, meaning there is some level of risk. You see that? Okay. Thank you so much. Did we miss anything else there?
There was others. There was cost of external equity versus internal equity.
Okay, that we spoke about yesterday.
And then say higher return expectation.
High return. Okay. All right. So yeah, guys. So very interesting things. Very interesting things. Okay, but yeah, we're done now with question 1.3. So how are you guys feeling? You're not tired yet? We can do all the revision questions. Yes, all of them. Now. No. I'm messing with you guys. I only want, for homework, I want you guys to do 1.4, question 1.4, and revision question 2. Both of those questions are calculating your weighted average cost of capital. Okay. So we have been playing around with calculating the inputs to your weighted cost of capital. So now I want you to then use those inputs to calculate your weighted average cost of capital. Okay. So when you have a moment, if any of you guys can just post that on the group, that being the questions. Sorry? If you do the homework, you get a pass. And then you don't see me again next year. It's a win-win, eh? So the last thing I want us to do is revision question 1. That's all I want us to do. Okay, and this I think you guys should be familiar with. And because it's an IRR calculation. So let's get into it. So under the required, sorry, they have the following. Let's just collapse that. Okay, right. So under the required, it says use the information provided, calculate the after-tax IRR of this company. Okay, so what's happening with this company? It says a company is intending to issue corporate bonds into the market. Okay, so it's planning on getting some debt financing. The bonds can currently be sold at a market value of 1,100 per bond. Okay. So that's the current price. And then flotation costs is 50 Rand per bond. Right. Additional features of the bond are summarized as follows. Okay. Time to maturity. So this is not irredeemable. You've got 10 years. Par value 1,000. Okay. Annual coupon. Okay. So it's not semi-annual. It's 10%. And then you've got a corporate tax of 28% applies. Right. So let's calculate. What is the cost of this bond? All right, issuing this bond to the business. What is the IRR? Remember, we will be calculating IRR to find out the return if we were an investor. Now, we're on the other side of that table, isn't it? We're looking at that as an expense, an interest expense, not an interest income, isn't it? Okay. So, how do we go about it? You guys have done IRR before, right? Well, we don't need the MPV, but you could potentially get the MPV whilst doing that. In fact, you can't actually because we don't have an interest rate. We actually can't. No, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting what you did last semester. Or have you forgotten it all during the holiday? Shame. I thought I was going to let you go early.
We need to look at our cash flows.
Yes, that's a starting point. What are our cash flows? Yes. Tell me the payment. Coupon payment.
That would be,
Okay.
but they want us to do 10 years.
Yes. But we do need to account for the payments during, right?
Yeah.
We do. So the cash flows, whatever coupons we have in those for each of those 10 years must also be accounted. So let's start in year 0. Remember, we said we're just going to treat this if it's easier, you can actually think of it, if I am the investor purchasing this bond, because the calculation is the same. Does it make sense? Where would we start? To invest in this bond, what's the first thing that must happen? Cash outflow. We have to pay for the bond. How much is the bond? Yes, the market value, which is what we would buy it at, is 1,100. But we also know that there is what we call flotation cost. Okay, so this is the only thing that would be then different. You, as the investor, would pay the full 1,100, but because we are doing it on behalf of the business, we have to minus the 50. Okay, which means that our first cash flow is going to be an inflow, yes, on the business side. It's going to be 1,050. Okay, so here at year 0, because that's current, right? We're saying 1,050. Okay, but again, to make our lives easy, I'm just going to put a minus because it's a cash outflow if you were an investor. Does that make sense? Okay. Then what do we do next? Next, we need to then, we know that the only cash flows are what? From year 1 going on. Coupon payments are only coupon. So we need to work out the coupon payments. How do we work out the coupon payments? I'm going to do this in a different color now. How do we work out the coupon payments? Par value, yes, 1,000 times the percentage, yes, of 10%. All right. But again, now if you were just an investor, you could end here, right? But we are a company, right? And as a company, we know that on interest, what is there on interest that's favorable to us? There's a tax deductible 100%. So this should actually be like this, times, in brackets, 1 minus, they said the taxes 28, isn't it? So this is then going to give us 0.72, as was mentioned, so that my people online can follow. So 0.72 times 10% is going to give you 7.2%, times 1,000 is going to give you. So the full answer here is 72 Rand. That's how much we're getting as a coupon every year. If this was biannual, we're going to divide by 2, isn't it? But it's an annual coupon. So happiness there. So now we know that. So now we say here, again, we're plugging these cash flows as if we're the investor, but we are the company. Okay, so here, that's positive 72. And this is from year 1 to year 10, isn't it? But then, yeah, you're right, actually. Year 9. Okay, thank you for that. Year 10, you got the coupon and the par value. Thank you very much. So that's obviously then 1,072. Okay. Now you can work out your IRR.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
Coefficients actually be input.
Yes.
So initial payments in cash.
Inflow, because you bought the bond from us. So now, actually, we should try this out. So let's quickly calculate, right? Get our IRR, which is our cost of capital, or on this bond, and then let's try and calculate it with the right coefficients to see do we get the same. Because when I tried it, wasn't working out good. Wasn't working. But yeah. Do we remember how to do the IRR calculation with our calculators?
What would our inputs be?
These cash flows. We're trying to calculate that.
We just search in, input all our cash flows and then press I for it. To
Okay.
get the intersect.
So let's do it together now. I just want to quickly. Okay. So yeah, let me give you the answer of what you should be getting. Then we'll work it out together and then make sure that we're all getting there. Yes, should be 6.50. Make it 504335 is what I'm getting. That's what you should be getting. Okay, so now we all have different calculators, so I'm not 100% sure how you would input it for your specific calculator, but we would all use the same. Okay, so first things first, you would plug in the negative 1050, and then on my calculator, I then click on enter. And then click on enter. All right, then it gives me data set and then CF for cash flow. Right, so that's my first cash flow at 0.0. Okay, now we enter in the first year or first period's cash flow, which is the 72, positive 72, and then I hit enter. Then you can see you've got data, then set, and then CF. So that period one, entered in period one's cash flow. And then on my calculator, I can just keep pressing enter until I get to 9. Because we know that we've got 72 Rand as a positive cash flow all the way up until here now.
So now page it's just -1050 CFJ. So that's that for one. You put 72 manually 9 times.
So you have to do it manually.
And I don't know the other way if there's one. I just put it manually. And then for you, saying it's the positive 72.
Okay.
I put 10 and then end, but I'm pretty sure it would pick up on the calculator. Change the rate, but I don't know. And then that's how it's function.
Yeah, so I didn't have a button. I have to go second function catch. And then it shows rates. And then that's when I go. Yeah, as long as you get into the right answer, that's fine. So are we getting there now? We happy? Okay, right. So now let's try, out of interest sake, let's try and have the coefficients reversed. Because remember, as a company, that's 1050 would actually be an inflow whenever someone buys the bond. Does that make sense? So let's just try that out and just see if we'll get the same interest rate. All right. No, I'm actually getting the same interest rate. So that's good because then at least you can be single-minded. You don't need to be saying, if I was an investor, how would I approach this in cash flow? Does that make sense? So even now, I'm actually going to just quickly change the coefficients there so that we're consistent with the relevant mindset. So this would be a positive. This would then be negative because we're paying interest. And this would also be negative. Because on maturity, we're giving you your par value and interest. So far, so good. You together? Everybody happy?
You mean the same interest?
You get the same interest.
What's 7.0?
And you guys? You said you got the same.
Wait, if I do the C, if I do.
You can choose those inputs. Exactly like a positive 1050.
So my positive 1,050 is my present value,
Yes.
then 72 is my payment.
Are you okay?
If I do this cash flow thing, I get 6.5.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Then if I go shift IRR, I get 6.5.
Yeah, you can't use the present value calculations. Could you? You could potentially, no. Yeah, it's gonna give you a wrong. It's gonna give you a wrong answer. Yeah, so I would stick to using the IRR. Okay, so I still haven't asked these guys how they want us to do the register. So if you could quickly just, it's okay, just give me another register. Yeah. And yeah, then you guys can, as soon as you sign, you can actually make your way.
Don't forget to send the